Well, so let's talk baseball. Trade deadline has passed. The New York teams, one did a lot of stuff.
Yep.
The other one didn't do too much. You're sort of the expert on the one that did a lot of stuff. Talk about the Mets.
Well, I mean, listen, all year long you're thinking to yourself, we've got the guys, we've got the horses, but we went a little bit too old with baseball to start the season with the guys on the injured list with Verlander. Max Scherzer didn't do well, then got suspended. It was just a lot of money put into it. Now I believed. I really did believe over the course of the baseball season that all these players, Tommy Pham and all these other players would be able to mount up. And it just totally imploded right in front of my face. Almost to the point of, I believed my GM. When my GM said, and they traded David Robertson, they said, oh, don't worry, we're not going to sell everybody. Don't you worry, it's not a fire sale. No. We have faith in us. No. And I fell for the football again with Lucy and Charlie Brown. I fell for it again. What happens after that? 3 days later, 3 more players are all gone. Now, I will say this. I was upset. I was mad, but they were older players. They were not guys who were part of the future. But I was convinced this was the year they were going to put every chip in the front of the table, and it just crumbled right in front of my eyes.
Nevertheless, I think it's kind of important to be in a position in the Mets war, I think, to admit that they made a mistake and react quickly to it.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong about that. And here's the thing. Like Cohen, the new owner, he's shown that he's willing to spend money. By the way, the most interesting part of this thing, did you know that Justin Verlander was the first MLB player to have an endorsement with Insure? That's a true story. So, anywho, he's old. That's what I'm getting at.
We get it.
Here's my...
I didn't. I was glad he explained it.
Well, soon enough.
Well, you don't need it.
No, here's my concern if I'm a Mets fan. You're right. It's a good idea. We'll hit the reset button, see if we can do it again. Even with a new owner, who you should be excited about, who's willing to spend the money, who's willing to do things that hadn't been tried before, you're in the same spot that Mets fans have been in since 1987, right? Like, that's what would scare me. Like, you know, if you compare this to what happened in Western New York, the Bagulas came in, they bought the Bills, they found a way to right the ship, and 20 years of sadness kind of disappeared. We're all excited. When does that moment come for the Mets? But it has been, right? When does that moment come for the Mets? That would be my biggest fear, is it was never the owner. There was just some cosmic forces working against us.
But it's I don't believe really some of the owner, it's Epler. It's maybe it's Buck Showalter. There's some dynamic doesn't seem to work. Now you're going to keep Alonso, probably pay him. You're going to keep Lindor, but there's something, I don't know. There's some force behind it.
Well, without getting too deep, I mean, because he's got the wherewithal and they obviously want to do it. I think in the off season he can keep that team competitive.
I mean, yeah, if you get Shohei, if you can convince him to come to New York.
You know, you're talking up here. I mean,
hey, listen, come on. I thought I was going to the World Series this year for crying out loud. Look, you got rid of all that money. Let's bring in Shohei and make it happen.
Do the Yankees. So the Yankees are where they are, and they did virtually nothing.
Yeah, okay, so I hope Aaron Boone enjoys the last few months of being the manager of the New York Yankees.
Think this is it?
Of course, how? Look.
You said this before.
Okay, I can't believe they kept him this season. I cannot. And this is it, right? I said at the beginning of the season, if you do not produce, you're gone. If the Yankees do not blow out Boone, unless there is some miracle run in them towards the end of the season with the wild card, the new wild card, I mean, I guess anything's possible. How do you look at his body of work? Did I see that the Yankees are under 500 since the middle of last season?
Well, time out. What about Cashman here? What about the players he's brought in as well? I mean, if you're going to get rid of Boone, you might as well get rid of Cashman as well.
What has Cashman been there, 25 years or something like that?
And maybe that's the problem, is like, I know we're used to this whole knee-jerk reaction still, old school fans of whatever Steinbrenner was going to do, right? I mean, he fired and hired Billy Martin 74 times, right? But the fact that Cashman is still there, the fact that Boone is still there, how are Yankees fans sitting there going, your last name's Steinbrenner, what the heck are you doing here?
What happened to the arms, too? The Yankees just have such dangerous arms, especially when they won throughout the years of their championships a couple of decades ago now.
No, they can't hit. This team with the legacy that they have cannot hit.
And that's the most interesting part, is the celebration that came from Yankees fans when they re-signed Aaron Judge in the offseason. That's a big re-signing. But the money that you spent in an effort to try...
And that was the issue of the contract negotiations. Can we keep this guy on the field?
Exactly. Well, here comes the celebration. That money you spent cost you your ability to compete this season and maybe seasons into the future as well.